Welcome to Top Watch, and today we are counting down the top 10 platform games with the most fun. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so make sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell notification for any new video. Platform games have gameplay primarily centered around jumping and climbing to navigate the character's environment. They have enemies and obstacles to avoid and fight, and for this list, we are looking down at the top 10 featured games ever released. Super Mario Odyssey. Mario travels across many different worlds known as kingdoms on the hat-shaped ship Odyssey to rescue Princess Peach from Bowser, who plans to forcibly marry her. He has to search for items known as Power Moons, which can power up the Odyssey and grant access to new kingdoms. Along with triple jumping and wall jumping, Mario can throw his cap, the physical form of hat spirit named Cappy, in multiple directions to attack enemies. The game requires a minimum number of power moons to be collected from each kingdom to move on to the next, though these may be obtained from any source, making objectives largely optional. Once Bowser is defeated, each kingdom is repopulated with more power moons. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The story takes place immediately after the events of Blind Forest and is narrated by the Spirit Tree in the form of Mewin. Playing as Ori, a white guardian spirit, players must jump, climb, glide, and swim between various platforms to solve intricate puzzles. Unlike its predecessor, Blind Forest, Will of the Wisps relies on autosaving rather than manually placed soul links. Ori's attack can be managed via a convenient radial menu, and orbs to increase Ori's health and energy can be found throughout the map. Celeste. A young woman named Madeline begins climbing Celeste Mountain, ignoring a warning from an old woman who lives at the base. Celeste is a platform game in which players control a girl named Madeline as she makes her way up a mountain while avoiding various deadly obstacles. Along with jumping and climbing up walls for a limited amount of time, Madeline has the ability to perform a mid-air dash in any directions. Throughout each level, the player will encounter additional mechanics such as springs that launch the player or feathers that allow brief flight, and deadly objects such as spikes that will kill Madeline. Axiom Verge. Axiom Verge is a side-scroller action-adventure game where the player controls Trace, a scientist who, after suffering a crippling injury, wakes up in an ancient and high-tech world. The game focuses on action and exploration and features over 60 items and power-ups. Axiom Verge is a game that's easy to fall in love with, but because it's hit so many high notes. If you've ever been into this sort of action-adventure game, Axiom Verge is positively terrific. New abilities give players access to areas that were previously unreachable, opening up new sections of the game. These include things like a drill to break open walls, a higher jump to reach new platforms, and a remotely controlled drone to crawl into small spaces. Ori and the Blind Forest. Players assume control of Ori, a small white guardian spirit, and see the light and eyes of the forest spirit tree. Players are asked to move between platforms and solve puzzles. The game features a save system called Soul Link, which allows players to save their progress at will with limited resources, and any upgrade system that gives players the ability to strengthen Ori's skill and ability. Luigi's Mansion 2. The player controls Luigi, who is equipped with the Poltergust 5000, a specialized vacuum cleaner used to capture ghosts. In the game's single-player mode, the main goal is to retrieve the shards of the shattered Dark Moon, a typical object that has a pacifying effect on the ghosts who live in the game's setting, Evershade Valley, while also rescuing Luigi's brother Mario from King Boo, the mastermind behind the disappearance of the Dark Moon and the paranormal activity. Dark Moon offers a cooperative multiplayer mode that can be played locally or online via Nintendo Network, along with appraising for the game's 3D visual and new features. Lost Winds 2 Winter of the Melodious. Lost Winds 2 Winter of the Melodious is the follow up of the award winning title Lost Winds. With satisfying, challenging puzzles expertly woven between engaging platforming and a thoroughly charming narrative, Winter of the Melodious represents an essential play. In this new adventure, players are able to instantly transform Mystralius between summer and winter, harnessing the brilliance of nature. New abilities include the Cyclone, which can be used to transport Toku, smash powerful enemies, and even drill through the rocks of Mystralius' diverse, richly interactive chilling peaks and Melodia city areas. Ratchet and Clank. The game takes place in a science fiction setting and follows the adventures of Ratchet, a humanoid which is a mechanic, and Clank, a centried Zoni robot, as they travel through the universe, saving it from evil forces and it's constantly threatening. The series is noted for its inclusive of many exotic, unique, and over-the-top weapon and gadgets, a concept the Insomniac Games has expanded into their own games. Psychonauts. Psychonauts is a platform game that incorporates various adventure elements. Psychonauts follows the player's character Raz, a young boy gifted with psychic abilities who runs away from the circus to try to sneak into a summer camp for those with similar powers to become a psychonaut, a spy with psychic abilities. He finds that there is a sinister plot occurring at the camp that only he can stop. The game is centered on exploring the strange and imaginative minds of various characters that Raz encounters as a psychonaut to help them overcome their fears of memories of their past so as to gain their help and progress in the game. Raz gains use of various psychic abilities during the game that are used for both attacking foes and solving puzzles. New Super Mario Bros. New Super Mario Bros. Was commercially successful and received positive reviews. Praise went towards its improvement made to the Mario franchise. It sold over 30 million copies worldwide, making it one of the best-selling video games of all times.